G'day folks, in this video I'm going to work through my top 5 mass-produced puzzles as of April 2022. This is a video I don't often do, but I hope you enjoy it, and specifically I only want to look at mass-produced puzzles. There's a lot of custom puzzles that are really great puzzles, but these are just the ones that are mass-produced that I have personally solved. And I also want to discount the DIY bandaged kit, not because it's not a great puzzle, but more because it's a kit and I've talked about it at length in the past. I'm going to try and leave links to all these puzzles in the description. Just if you're interested in buying these things, you can. Some of these puzzles you may not even know about, or you may not have heard about, or only vaguely know about them. I assure you they're all great puzzles. So I do have 2 honourable mentions. Unfortunately for this puzzle, this is one of the honourable mentions. So this is the double crazy cube, or the double circle cube, and it was produced by MF8, designed by Dana sometime not that long ago. And this is a pretty cool cube, and it's got all these options for the different face types. So you can change the centers to make, at the moment, this is, let me get this right, this is a 0-1 face, because we've got the center parts don't turn, but then the middle parts do turn. So that's 0-1. If I look at the yellow face, that's a 0-0, because the center part and the middle part both don't turn. The reason that this is only an honourable mention, despite all these options here, is you might notice there on that yellow face, as I turn that, the inner part and particularly the middle part are both moving when they shouldn't. And unfortunately, this makes for a little bit of a painful solve in terms of, I'm trying to do something like this. I can't simply, you can see that's lined up perfectly there, but it's not here. Often I can't just do that. I've got to jiggle it and then do that. And to me, that took away from the puzzle. If it didn't do that, I think this would have made my list, or it would have certainly come close. So it is still a wonderful puzzle, and it's made the honourable mention list. As far as I understand, there are some people that do not have this issue. So I don't know why specifically it's happened. I know others that it does happen. If that could have been fixed, would have been a fantastic puzzle. Okay, the second honourable mention is the 𝗧𝗛𝗭𝗭𝗟𝗘. And some of you may remember years ago, I did an unboxing of this thing and had literally no idea what was going on with it. I didn't really, in those days, I didn't look up what the puzzle was before I did an unboxing or a review of it. So I did enjoy getting a puzzle and going, what is going on here? And that's certainly what you saw there. I do have much more of an idea now. Of course, it's a Megaminx in the shape of a cube. And this one was produced by Calvin's Puzzles. And you can see 2 names on here, 𝗧𝗛𝗭𝗏 and T. Fisher. So Tony Fisher designed the original 𝗧𝗛𝗭𝗏. I believe it was a flat version. And 𝗧𝗛𝗏 then came up, I think, a year later with this pillowed version. And I guess Calvin's Puzzles has decided to put both names on there. So this is a fantastic mass-produced puzzle. It was really, at the time, just such an incredible thing. It turns like this. So it looks somewhat kind of like a bit of an edge turner initially, because you're looking at it going, oh, the edges are turning. But in actual fact, I don't think it's classed as an edge turner. It's just a shape modification, cubic shape modification of a Megaminx cube. So you'd think, well, I can solve a Megaminx, no problem. So I can solve this, right? Well, not necessarily quite so quick and easy, because as soon as you start getting this into certain positions, it completely changes what it's actually doing. And you can sort of see already that does not look like any kind of Megaminx I know about. So why did this only make the honourable mentions list? Well, to me, even though it's a good puzzle, I'm not super happy with the stickers. Don't know if you can see, there's just quite a number of these stickers are peeling back. There's one there that, if you compare it to that one, that's fine. That's peeled back. That's just, I can do that, and it's just not what it should. All over the puzzle, really, the stickers are like that. So I suppose when you look at a puzzle in its entirety, you're looking at all aspects of the puzzle, the stickering, the availability, the price, all of that sort of thing. So honourable mention to this puzzle. It's a pretty cool puzzle. It didn't quite make the top 5. Okay, puzzle number 5 is the 6x6x6. Now this specifically is not the V-Cube 6. So the V-Cube 6 I used to have, and through, I guess, stupidity, sold it, because I had a quick look at my unboxing and remembered that saying it was such a great cube, the V-Cube 6. This, I think, is the Shengshao version of the 6x6, and it doesn't turn quite as well. And I reckon the reason that I would have sold the V-Cube 6 when I was trying to sell a 6x6 is because on the Twisty Puzzles forum, when you're trying to sell a puzzle that's considered a knockoff, it ain't going to work too well. So I sold that one and kept this one. So this, the turning, it's okay, but I don't know if you can sort of see or hear or feel, obviously not, but it kind of just sticks a little bit. That's the best way I could describe it. Having said that, the stickers are great and it certainly turns and functions as a 6x6. So as I said, 𝗣𝗑𝗦 produced the first one of these in 2008. The 𝗣𝗑𝗦6 notably had this clicking mechanism, and I think for a few people that was a bit off-putting. I don't know if it was essential to that, but there was a number of people and companies that then set about trying to make a 6x6 without the clicking mechanism. I guess SKEWBY was one of them because this doesn't have it. Whatever you think of knockoffs, 𝗣𝗑𝗦's actually brought a 6x6 cube to market, which is pretty cool. So why 6x6? I did want to include a sort of a normal standard cube in this list. Well, to me, what this has is the benefits of being an even layered cube. So it has those extra things that you don't get on odd layered cubes. One of them that I'm thinking about is you can get to the end and have a pair of swapped corners. So I like that about the 6x6. It's a good challenge compared to the 4x4. So if I'm thinking even cubes, why don't I just do the 4x4? Well, it's just got a little bit more. You've got to build a little bit more in here, and the center's a bit more than the 4x4. So I like that, but it's not so much more that you get annoyed with it. And so I think with an 8x8 and a 10x10, you can get to the point of going, this is just too tedious. So to me, this 6x6 is pretty much the ideal version of in the middle of that sort of thing. So yeah, if I was down to my last 5 puzzles that I had to choose, this would certainly be one of them. This would serve as my ordinary cube type puzzle. Okay, number 4 is the Crazy Unicorn puzzle. And this was released by MF8 in 2018. It did not come with a Neptune sticker. So this Crazy Unicorn, I have modded it into a Neptune planet unicorn. And that's one of the great reasons that I've put it in here. Even though this is a single puzzle, it comes basically as a kit. And I love that about puzzles. So they've designed the center part so that you can very easily take it out, flip it over, and you've got a new face type. So this has multiple variants, and even better, if you combine it with the unicorn cube, so the one with no circles, you get heaps more variants, and you can start making two-face puzzles and all the rest of it. So many of you will know I've started releasing my own planet videos of these puzzles. So this happens to be one of the Neptune variants that I've done all the videos for them. I just haven't released them all yet. Had an absolute blast doing it. It's such a great puzzle series of puzzles. And if you just think, oh, the Crazy Unicorn, it's pretty good, but you know, that's about it. No, think again. This has got so much potential. Even with just the Crazy, you can make at least 9 or 10 different puzzles out of that. So for that reason, if I had to pick a puzzle to keep for my last 5, I would be picking this one and a small Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, number 3, I'm including both of these. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm putting 2 puzzles as one, and that is the very, very recent standard DODERHOMBUS and the Crazy DODERHOMBUS. These were, well, it's got a little bit of a history here. This one was originally posted on the Twisty Puzzles forum in 2019 by someone called 𝗧𝗛𝗭𝗏, and he posted it as the DODERHOMBUS Plus, and the plus came from the fact that these edges are broken into 2 bits. So what happened then is MF8 a little bit later came out with this Crazy version, and at the same time they said, hey, we've also got this version. So there was a little bit of a talk of, well, you know, have they ripped this guy off? Have they given him credit? I don't know, but I remember reading one comment that said, look, if someone's come up with a design for a Crazy, it's unthinkable that they would not have already come up with a design for this as well. So I don't know how all that works. I'm not really that fussed because these are a great set of puzzles. So these are both face-turning rhombic dodecahedrons. They turn on the faces like that, not on the edges. They are rhombic, so each face is a rhombus, and they're dodecahedrons because they have 12 faces on each puzzle. Now, to be honest, I could actually kind of ignore this one and just say I'll just go for the Crazy, because at the moment this configuration has all 0 faces where those center parts don't turn. I could change all these faces to be 1 faces, and if I did that, what I would have would be exactly the equivalent of this puzzle here. So I can essentially get this standard DODERHOMBUS in this puzzle. I can also get a whole bunch of variants, and you just heard me talk with the Crazy Unicorn about essentially having a kit in a puzzle. Well, this is the same, but it's on steroids. You've got a massive amount of puzzles just from here by the different variants you can do by changing the face types. And many of you hopefully will remember my unboxing and review where I showed all the different types of things that you could do, make literally hundreds of puzzles. So this is absolutely in my top 5. Now this puzzle is actually equivalent, if I talk about this one here, it's equivalent to the COPTER 3 Plus. So the COPTER 3 has been mass produced, and the COPTER 3 has the edges and it also has centers. So the way the cuts are done, it creates centers in the middle of the faces. What it doesn't have is plus cuts on the edges. So if you added plus cuts into those edges and sort of, I don't know, transformed it into this, that's what you would get. So you could approach this the same way you approached a COPTER 3 with plus cuts. And I initially looked at it like that. I suppose there is some semblance of that in the solve that I'm doing, but it's interesting how this puzzle looks nothing like a COPTER 3, but it is actually equivalent to that COPTER 3 Plus. So heaps of stuff going on in these puzzles. When I say hundreds of variants available, I'm not kidding. You just need a screwdriver as well. So maybe that should be my number 1, a screwdriver. Okay, here's my number 2. This is a blast from the past for sure. This is an oldie but a goodie. This is EITAN'S star. You can see 𝗧𝗛𝗭𝗭𝗟𝗘, that's his logo there, which is a really interesting logo. If you look at it that way, you can see the E. If I turn it around, oh my goodness, it's the same. There we go. So EITAN'S designed this back in, I think, something like 2000 and maybe 12 or something, 11 or 12. And MF8 produced it in around 2013. So this puzzle is a face-turning icosahedron. Icosahedron 20 faces. And each of the faces there, if you look there, you can see it's a triangular face. So that's what an icosahedron is. But when you look at it, the stickering is so bizarre that initially you get this and you just think, I have no clue what to do. And in fact, that was exactly my experience. I wrote a blog post on that back in the day, which I think was received quite well because a lot of people seem to look at it and go, oh good, I'm not the only one that had a lot of trouble with this. I then did a tutorial in it, which I think also was fairly well received, which was nice. That's still up on my channel somewhere, so have a look at that if you're interested. The one thing I didn't do with this puzzle, because it was bad enough as it was try to jumble it. That's right, this puzzle jumbles. So what does that mean? Well, if I turn it 120 degrees like that, I've come back to the normal shape of the puzzle. If I turn it some other portion that's not 120 degrees, there'll be somewhere where you can see, I think that one there, is that going to line up and turn? No, let's try, I can never get the right sort of, I'm going to embarrass myself here. Let's try more, something like that. EITAN, help. Here we go. I'm there. Yep. I eventually found my way here. It's been so long since I played with this and had a look at it that I had forgotten where the jumbling turns were. I knew they existed. So I've just turned that a little bit around to there. So that's normally where this sits. If I move that around to about there, I can now turn that face. And I don't want to do this too much, but you'll see this is not properly aligned there, but I can now turn that face. And when I discovered this at the time, I immediately backtracked because I thought, as I said, this is bad enough as it is. I don't want to complicate things. But now I do want to complicate things. So I would love to make an updated tutorial on this with jumbling. I'm not sure how much effect it has on the solve of the puzzle, but there it is. Probably the other reason I didn't quite put this at number 1 is these things here have the tendency to do that. And that's, I don't know why that is, whether that's just something that can't be avoided, but you can be doing a solve and you're sort of turning a face and you don't realize it, but this twists as you're turning it, and it's very easy to do. And so you get to the end and you have things like a single twisted corner, which I can't remember whether that's possible or not. I don't think it is. So very high on the list, number 2, but not quite number 1. There is one little story I've got to tell you. This puzzle, originally, I was having conversations with EITAN when it first came out. At the time, for me, the price was prohibitive. I don't think the price is bad now. I think it's justified for this puzzle, but it was a lot of money. And I was in contact with EITAN just wondering whether it might be possible to send this over to lend it to me so I could make some videos and do things like that, and then I'd send it back. Well, EITAN was kind enough to agree to that, and that was great, and I did all that, made the blog post, made the tutorials, got in touch about the possibility of keeping the puzzle and buying it off him. Well, he was good enough to say, you know what, I've really appreciated the stuff you've done, so you deserve a free puzzle, so keep it. And he made me swear never to tell anyone at the time because I think he didn't want to be inundated with requests, but he's given me his blessing now, all these years later, to say, you know what, that's fine. So I really want to thank EITAN for that. This will always be prized, this puzzle. prize for the pain that it caused me, and also just for the generosity that he showed all those years ago. All right, and here's puzzle number 1, my favorite puzzle at this point in time, and this is the SKEWBY Copter Plus. So this was invented by Diogo Souza, I think that's how you say his name, and he presented this puzzle in 2017. What was amazing about this, 2 things really. The first one, that as far as I understand, this was his first design. That's phenomenal for a first design. The second thing that was amazing, I just sort of need to tell you what it is. It's a hybrid between a SKEWB and a Curvy Copter Plus. Now, if you remember the Curvy Copter Plus, it had those little dots on some of the plus pieces. And the problem with that was that it had a lot of overhang bandaging. So you went to do a turn and it was just blocked a lot of the time. And it wasn't that it was wrong, it was just very, very annoying. Well, this puzzle has no overhang bandaging. And let me tell you, that makes for an absolutely brilliant solve because you're not worried about blocking things. And you can see an example here. If I can I turn that? These 2 things can be that close normally. When they're turning on the correct, when I've got everything lined up, they will just turn without brushing past each other, and it's a joy to play with. So it's not surprising that, a year later, MF8 picked this up and said, we've got to mass produce this, and they did. And with MF8, they can be a little bit hit and miss with their puzzles. Some of them you get and they're just a joke, and others they're absolutely fantastic. And they knock this one out of the park, to use an American baseball reference. This is a fantastic puzzle, and one of the reasons it's so good is because if you don't want to use it as a SKEWBY Copter Plus, you can use it as a Curvy Copter, or you can use it as a Curvy Copter Plus, and I'm sure there's other things you can use it as also. So it's got these multiple puzzles in the one puzzle. So this is clearly scrambled at the moment, and initially I would have to try and get it back. I'm looking to get a line down here, and that is not as easy as it may sound. Is that a line? As he just creates a line. There we go. And now that I've created a line, I can turn this like that. So that's an example of the SKEWB turn that I can do, and I can start trying to match things up, get things facing in the correct direction, etc., etc. So again, this is a puzzle that would be in my top 5. In fact, I've called it number 1. So there you go. That's my top 5 puzzles as of now. How do you think I did? Do you think I missed out any obvious ones? Remember that these are puzzles that I personally have and have solved. So perhaps there's some that you've got that are mass produced that you're thinking, oh, if you had that one, you'd put that in your list. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.